I'm hoping with my bookshelves on this wall, there'll be more natural lighting and
Oh, it's gonna look so
views.
good. If you need help, I can come like next
Or,
weekend or something.
oh yeah, I don't know what happened next weekend. I think
Let me
it's
know.
nothing.
I don't have anything planned this
Oh,
entire.
besides the rock sale,
Oh, well, then you need
the
to go to
rock
the.
show.
Yeah, you need to go to that. That's a
So I
must.
have Friday off, so I might go to the rock show on the first day.
Nice. Oh, are we recording now?
Yeah. So someone planned a library book sale, the one in Lebanon, and a rock show on the same day.
I think there's a book sale in Dallas the end of
Oh,
this month. I think. I think I
oh,
saw a banner for that. Was in Dallas? I saw it
I'll
somewhere.
have to look it out. But it's
I
like
think it was in
my
Dallas.
two hobbies:
Rocks and books.
rocks and books, rocks, books, and yarn. I'm a
That's
simple
valid.
person.
That
Welcome
makes
back, everybody.
Welcome back to Baby Got Snacks. We're just chit-chatting over here. That's what we
It was a
do.
hectic week, so you're getting a 2 in 1 day.
It was, but we finished the other one on
We did.
time.
Yeah, we did.
So it was a crazy week.
Things happen.
Things happen, life gets the best of us, but we're doing it. And this episode, I almost said this week. Nope, it was last week. This episode, we got into kind of fantasy ish. I don't even know
Like
what you would.
a magic realism mish.
Yeah. Yeah. This is the Unmaking of June Farrow by Adrienne Young. Um, I
I hadn't read any of her past books, but I've been really keeping an eye out and really wanting to get the Spells for Forgetting by her.
okay. Was she did she write books for young adult? I feel like
I want to say yes, but it's based off of nothing.
okay. Well, um
Oh, Fable. Oh, that looks
okay.
very familiar. Fable is a young adult fantasy.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a series. It looked like that.
Oh, why does that look familiar?
Fable
Hmm.
and Namesake is the second one. It's also like
Oh,
half person
interesting.
space. Those
Okay.
look very interesting.
Yeah. Love a
Ooh,
good cover.
I
The
love
cover of this book, gorgeous.
all of her covers look gorgeous, I will say.
Yeah, I loved the cover of this book. I actually really liked this book. I gave it a 4 out of 5.
I gave it a 3.
Ending was a little the ending's what lost me was because my brain couldn't wrap the concept of how time worked at that point, and I was just like very
That was
confused.
my biggest issue. Do you want to read the little synopsis and then we can delve
Before we get into
into
it.
our confusion?
Yes, 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 yes. In the small town of Jasper, North Carolina, June Farrow is waiting for fate to find her. The Farrow women are known for their thriving flower farm and for the mysterious curse that has plagued their family line. The whole town remembers the madness that led to Susanna Farrow's disappearance, leaving her daughter June to be raised by her grandmother and haunted by rumors. It's been a year since June started seeing and hearing things that aren't there. Faint wind chimes, a voice calling her name, and a mysterious door appearing out of nowhere. Signs of what June has always known is coming. But June is determined to end the curse once and for all, even if she must sacrifice the hope of love and a family of her own. After her grandmother's death, June discovers a series of cryptic clues regarding her mother's disappearance, except these only lead to more questions. But could the door she once assumed was a hallucination be the answer she's been searching for? The next time it appears, June realizes that she can touch it and walk through the threshold, and when she does, she embarks on a journey that will not only change both the past and the future, but also uncover the lingering mysteries of her small town and entangle her heart in an epic star-crossed love.
So I'll start with some positives. Like I
Okay.
I will absolutely read from this author again. Her writing was so pretty
Mhm.
and vibey and
Mhm.
aesthetic and like descriptive. It was magical.
It was. Yes.
And it was so well explained without being wordy.
Yeah, and I thought also the like how many characters are in this book, it can get a little like wishy-washy, but I felt like
Yeah.
it was easy, especially moving times.
Times. Yeah.
I thought it was easy to figure out like what was
Yeah.
happening.
Where it fell through was kind of her own rulemaking of the time jumping and where the boundaries were,
Mm-hmm.
what the rules were,
Mm-hmm.
what made sense and what didn't, because it was, like one thing would happen and then like something was said by a character and be like, wait, I thought that couldn't happen, or like, well, if that's true, then wouldn't something in the past not have, it would have changed things. So it just didn't quite add up if you really thought about it.
Yeah.
But if you just want like a light-hearted like time and you don't want to think too hard about it, don't think too hard about it, essentially.
No.
Don't think too hard about
And that's where it lost me. So I loved the concept of this book.
it. Mm-hmm.
I loved jumping into different times, like solving murders, figuring out mysteries. I loved that. It kind of almost gave me Aging Adeline vibes. I mean, she's not time traveling, but that's
Right.
like one of my favorite movies. And I loved that aspect of it. The like you said, the storytelling, how descriptive things were. It felt like I was there. Like it just like at the Midsummer Fair, it just everything descriptive wise of what she was seeing, what she was feeling was immaculate. But once you got towards the end, after I don't want to give like too many spoilers right off the
Yeah.
bat. We'll get there, but after what happened towards the end, then I was like, I have absolutely no idea how that makes sense
Yeah.
whatsoever.
Yeah.
Like how can two people essentially be living at the same time because she does see herself being born. Like it just I was
Yeah.
so
It's
confused.
like you're only here because of that other person, but if that other person hasn't done the thing yet that makes you exist, how are you here? Kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And then it gets into the whole time like theories and like the whole like like butterfly effect, and then there's it can be like a whole confusing conspiracy like loop thing, and everyone has their own mechanism within their stories of how that works. But
Yeah.
if she didn't really explain it within her own story for it to make sense and for us to be like, oh, okay, I understand the conclusion.
Yeah. That's where it lost me. That's why I gave it 4 out
Yeah.
of 5.
So
But I
like we were
still liked
following
it.
through and we were like, okay, okay,
Mhm.
and then it happened and we're like, wait.
Yeah.
But it was
Yeah.
so pretty and I was along for the ride. The
Yeah.
premise is really cool.
It was a really cool concept. We I don't think I've ever read a book with time travel. I know there's like some books like the famous one Time Traveler's Wife. I've never read that, but um it's not done too many times that I can think of.
And I think that's because it is hard,
It's yeah, it is
because
hard.
there's going to be so many critiques of like, well, if you do this, and then how does that make sense? Which
Mhm.
is fair.
Yeah.
And I mean, it can confuse a lot of people. This kind of confused me. So I was following along for the most part up until the end, I think.
Like if I remember correctly. Yeah, so I guess we can kind of go along with the book.
Yeah.
So you meet June and her grandmother. Her grandmother has passed away. And so now it's just June and her grandma's best friend Bertie. There's also a guy named Mason that works like with the flower shop that her grandmother had owned.
Yeah.
The flower
But
shop
that
has been in their family forever.
ever.
Um, ever since it would be June's great great grandmother Esther. Um, their flowers are like top tier. People will
Yeah.
travel like all over for these flowers. Um, so there it's a Jasper is like a very, very small town. Everyone knows everyone sort of situation. June was always raised with the concept that, weird things happen to the Pharaoh people. Um, she refuses to get married and have family of her own because she wants to break the curse. Um, she's
Women
kind of,
always has a daughter, and the man
yeah,
always is not in the picture for whatever reason.
for whatever reason, yeah. And so Mason and her kind of have this like weird friends could be more situation,
Yeah,
but she
like it'd
doesn't
be
want it
easy.
to.
Yeah,
Yeah,
if she made the step, they could be, but she
yeah,
doesn't want.
yeah. And so after her grandma passes away, it's kind of known that like her family isn't really welcomed in the church. They're kind of the outcasts of the town because weird things happen
Yeah,
to them. They are known for being I mean, people call them crazy. They think they're crazy because they
yeah,
hear things, they see things that aren't there, and they kind of just go crazy. June's mom, Susanna, disappeared when she was 8 months pregnant, and then all of a sudden June is found in an alleyway at I think 7 months old,
yeah,
wearing a locket that was like a family heirloom, and her mom was nowhere to be found.
yeah.
It was just presumed that she was dead. They have no idea how June got to
Hmm.
be there, but grandma took her in and raised her until her grandma passed. 2 days after her grandma passes, there is a letter, not a letter, but there's an envelope in the mail addressed to her in her grandmother's handwriting, which she thought was very weird. There's a picture of the town minister that had been murdered in 1950, and case was never solved. It was like a big thing, obviously with a small town and the church. And then it looked like what to be her mom in the photo, and the back of it was dated 1911, Nathaniel and his wife, Susanna. And she was
Hmm.
like, what is happening? Like that can't be my mom because
Yeah,
that's
the time
1911.
does
Like
not make
that's
sense.
yeah. She was born in the 80s, I want to
Yeah,
yeah, because she was 32.
yeah,
I thought she was younger when I was reading this. And then when she said her age, I was
yeah.
like, hold on a minute.
It was like early 30s. Yeah,
Yeah. So she was like, that can't be. Well, then she starts to do like searches and stuff. And she finds a baptism in the church documentation. And it's for a June. I don't remember the last name. It's like started with an R. Rutherford, or I think.
I was gonna say I think it's Rutherford or something along those lines.
Um, with her name, it's June Rutherford. And
Yeah,
then mom Susanna Rutherford and dad Nathaniel Rutherford, and she was like, "Is that me?" Like, I liked how in this book June is so like that can't be real. Like the author just didn't
yeah,
have June be like, "Oh, time traveling." Like it,
yeah. She's really skeptical, and like
yeah,
rightfully so, because any like sane person, this is it takes place when the book was published in
mhm,
2023.
yeah, yeah,
So she's just like, this doesn't make sense. How is there some person with my name, with my mom's name, the exact same situation in 1911? Like, how
yeah,
is this making sense? How am I being led to this information so easily somehow? And why is this all coming out when conveniently my grandma passed and it would have been so easy for me to ask her all this information if it was true?
yeah, yeah. So,
So it's so nice following along with this mystery.
yeah, it was kind of interesting, like to see her thought process because that's what I liked too about this book was that she was just like going along with it. Because I feel
Yeah,
like a lot of books with time traveling too, they kind of just everything falls into place weirdly, and you're like,
yeah,
okay, that this is kind of
that was
annoying.
way too easy. But
Yes.
this one, the easy makes it weirder.
Yeah.
And at this point, I had no idea that this involved any sort of time jumping, travel, anything. I had no idea.
I
So
didn't
that
either.
wasn't even in the realm of possibilities. So I was like, what is happening?
Yeah, I didn't either. No, it doesn't. It doesn't talk about it. Obviously, I read the.
There's no mention of it.
Yeah, I read the synopsis. There's no mention of time traveling or anything like that. So she is trying to figure out the bottom of this picture. When she was younger, she wanted to do a lot of research on her mom, and so they helped her the best that they could, but her grandmother never told her like
About it.
anything weird. Yeah. And so then she finally, Birdie, who is the grandmother's best friend, comes home early because she helps with the flower shop, and she sees all the paperwork, and she was like, what's going on? And so she just tells Birdie, like, I've been seeing things and all this stuff. And Birdie was like, you were supposed to tell me. And she was like, you were supposed to tell me when things were like starting, because it had been a year at that point that she had started seeing people, hearing wind chimes, hearing her voice, seeing a red door. I think she had seen it two or
I
three
think it was
times at that
three.
point. And so she tells Birdie everything, and so Birdie was like, I'm supposed to give you this, and it's a address, and on the inside of the envelope is the word, like, it's written trust me in it. And she can't recognize the handwriting, so she's like, well, maybe it's my mom. And so Birdie was like, when you see the red door again, go through it. So she's trying to figure out, okay, well, maybe that's what happened. My mom went through the door and she's just stuck wherever this door
Wherever it
takes
is. Yeah.
you. So next time she's driving, she sees the red door in the middle of a field, goes through it, and it's in the field next to the house where the address was in the envelope. She's not quite sure why the address took her here. Um, it's a very, very rundown farmhouse, very decrepit, fallen apart, nothing really to it. It kind of gives her like familiar vibes. She almost feels like deja
Yeah.
vu, like she's been there before, but she can't place it. And so she sees the red door, goes through it, and then she's still in that same field, but everything's different in the sense of the farmhouse is no longer decrepit. It's totally fine. Someone's living
Yeah.
in it. There's a fire burning, there's smoke coming out of it. The field that she was in is actually a tobacco field. And back then, tobacco was like a big thing around that time frame in that small town. And so she goes through the door. This lady like pops out of the door, like the house, and like freaks out and then runs back into the house. And she's like, oh my God, like I don't know where I'm going. So she goes to where she's familiar, which is her grandmother's house. And she sees a lady that she knows very well because she's seen a picture of her, and that would be her great great grandmother, Esther. And this is when it gets confusing because she's in 1951.
Some. Yeah.
It's 1951, and Esther is saying that she's already been there before.
Yeah.
And she was like, you need to go back. There's this man who finds her. I think he finds her on the, well, he must find her
I
on the
think at
road.
first. Yeah.
At first, he finds her on the road before she goes, I believe, to the grandmother's house. I thought she walked there originally, but I think the guy picks her up and then takes her so that way she can like kind of clean up or like get acclimated. He's like, I'll be right back. She starts wandering the house of this man and sees a picture, and it's a picture of her and this man. And she's just like,
Yeah.
what is happening? And then I think they live like I think it's 3 minutes away. She just starts
Close.
running, and then that's when I think she sees the grandmother's house. It's a little fuzzy,
Something
but
like
she
that.
she ends up going to the grandmother's house. Great grandma knows it's Esther, and then like as she's talking to Esther, she hears someone upstairs and comes down. Well, it's her grandmother who is 16 at the time. And it starts getting confusing because they're like, you've been here before, but then you left and we thought like you weren't coming back. She's like, I I've never been like I've
Yeah.
never been here. And so it's all like confusing on why these people know who she is, but she doesn't know who anyone else is. And Then she finds out that she has a daughter named Annie with this man. I don't know why I'm blanking on his name.
So am I. I have no idea. But yeah, that's her husband. That was her house. That's their kid. She left like a year ago, a few months ago.
But she had been there for like 4 years,
But yeah,
5 years.
she had been there for like a few years, got married, had this kid, and then disappeared.
Yeah. Emin.
And
Emin?
then,
Eamon. I think it's Emin. That's her husband's name.
and it's this mystery of why did she leave? How did she get there? And what had happened to her mom because her mom is still not there.
Mm-hmm.
And just trying to figure out how this works, which is still kind of unclear.
I'm still kind of unclear about how that works, yeah. Then there's a whole thing. So so she traveled to 1951. In 1950 is when the minister had been murdered. And so Caleb, who is the town like police man,
Mhm.
he is trying to figure like out the
Still
bottom of it
figuring
because
it out. Yeah.
that's his dad that had gotten killed.
Yeah. And turns out June of that time had disappeared kind of around when Caleb had wanted to interrogate her
Mm-hmm.
because there was a semi unreliable witness who had seen her run away from the church, the scene of the crime.
Well, no, she saw him running through the field because the
Oh,
minister
that's
was
right.
killed in the river, and then she was running through the field with her daughter, and they were like all bloody.
That's right. And they were kind of red. Yeah,
Yeah, and
that's
come to
right.
find out, Caleb is her brother, which was
It's her
like,
brother. Yeah.
yeah, which was a good twist. And he wants to talk to June because his dad was like, it's kind of not well known, but the dad kind of went crazy when June was around, like would sit out like
Yeah.
by the farm and like watch her and like try to talk
He
to her. And
would say that her mom was like a devil woman and like made him, it like seduced him to the side of evil, blah blah blah. And
yeah,
so like she reminded him of her and
yeah,
the evil doing she did. That kind of minister.
yeah. And so it's basically her trying to figure out like what's going on. I guess we could give spoilers at this.
Spoilies.
I guess we could give
The best
spoilers
that
at
we
this
can
point.
understand the ending of this book.
Well, so you guys have been warned. We are starting on spoilers. Um, the mom is dead. Mom
Yeah,
died.
very clear. The
Um,
minister killed her
yeah,
by the river.
supposedly she jumped off and fell over the waterfall, and
Yep.
Caleb was there too. Um, but yes, the minister did end up killing the mom and then burying her
Yeah. And then
instead.
wanted to do that to June because reminded him of her.
Yes, and so when he was trying to drown her, she killed him instead. And
Yeah.
her daughter was there. And that's like why. And then she found out that so there's a rule that you can't travel back in time to a place that you already exist.
Yeah.
Um, and so she basically broke that rule.
Yeah. So in if she saw the red door again, since she'd already been there,
Hmm.
either she could choose, so that would have been like her last time travel.
You can only do it 3 times.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
she can either had gone through the door, gone back to modern times, and that's
Hmm.
where she would have stayed, or choose to ignore it and stay in the 50s
Hmm.
forever.
Hmm.
And she chose to stay in the 50s.
She ultimately chose to stay in the 50s, but when she had went back originally technically a year ago.
Yeah.
That's when she broke the curse.
Somehow.
See, this is where it gets tricky
This is where it gets
because
confusing.
she basically went back into the future to a place where she already existed. So that way, instead of it being two minds, the one in the 50s and the one in the now, there was only one. And it ultimately had gotten broken. And then
I don't know how she was already there in the future.
I honestly haven't a clue.
Because then how did the mom bounce forward to drop June off, I guess, and come back? But also the daughter, we find out, June's daughter was
Annie
actually Birdie.
is actually Birdie. And she had
Then
been
how did,
holding on. How does she have the envelope?
well, no, how did
Oh,
Birdie get to the future?
she just grew up.
Oh, I guess.
So Birdie was born
Oh, I guess
at
that
one
timing would have
point.
been right.
Yeah, so Birdie's just Birdie hasn't gone through any
Okay.
doors because
Well,
it
I
had
guess because she would have broken the curse, so she
because
wouldn't
yeah, so
have
Birdie has never
anymore.
seen a door or anything like that, and the envelope that she was holding was given to her by her grandmother to hold on to. But it's weird because Annie grew up with knowing her grandmother
Her
was like
granddaughter.
16. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So because June was like, this is weird. Like, do you know that I'm your grandchild and like this is your great
Yeah.
grandchild? And she was like, I do know. And she was like, isn't this weird for you? And then like at the end, she was like, and then I got to watch my like basically her grandmother be born. No.
Born. And then
No,
how
it was
does that work?
no, it was she watched her mom be born. She watched her mom be born
Yeah.
because her grandmother was only 16 when she had traveled
Yeah.
over. So she watched her mom be born and then she watched her mom birth her. That's
How
where it
does
lost
that work?
me. I
And then
have no idea.
so when June's born and then June dies, but then there's baby June. That continues like normal? Will she have the memories of the past? And then her friend
Mason?
from the beginning in 2023,
Yeah, he's just
that
fucked. I
means
don't know.
June just disappeared.
Mhm.
And so like you imagine just like your best friend that you're like kind of in love with just disappeared.
Yeah. Yep.
But then like someday will she just reappear as like again because baby June?
Well, I guess yeah, maybe well,
How does that work?
I see that's where it lost me.
That's
That's
where it
where
lost.
but
That's why
up
it's
until
confusing.
then,
If you
it was
don't think about
great.
it too hard, it's a
It was
good
great.
book, but then you start thinking.
Yeah, so the ending is she chooses to stay in the 50s. She chooses to be with Emmon and Annie and help and yeah,
I
it's
also would have
all
appreciated like I understand that previous June fell in love with Emin, and so she's just like re-sensing those feelings.
mhm.
But it would have been nice to get more of a actual like falling in love with Emin because it felt obviously fast, which
Yeah.
I guess it was supposed to be, but I don't know. I just didn't feel any kind of way with that relationship.
Yeah, and I also felt like Caleb kind of was just like done with
There.
her really soon. Like
Yeah.
he was like super angry wanting to like take her down for murder and then all of a sudden he was
Yeah.
just like, "Nah, you're
All
free."
right.
I'm like,
Like
"Okay."
you don't have any more feelings to work through with that? No? Yeah.
Yeah. And then basically what got her to like not be like taken to jail was she told Caleb like exactly where the mom was buried because Caleb was there, so he like knew
Mm-hmm.
and um
He
she was like the
yeah.
only reason I would have known is if your dad had like told me and all this stuff and so he kind of just came to terms. He has no idea about the red door like anything, but he kind
No,
of came
but
to
he
terms
could
with it.
probably understand that, well, if he killed your mom, our mom,
Yeah.
that
Armo.
probably attacked you, and so it was probably self-defense. And then instead of making his dad look like a predator, it was probably best to leave it as an unsolved murder then.
Yeah.
So it's 3. Like I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. I will probably pass the book along.
Okay.
I love her writing enough to read the others because kind of reading the reviews and seeing what other people have had to say. This is their least favorite of her books.
Okay.
And
I liked it up until the very end when I got really confused on how time travel worked.
It was, maybe I will keep it. I don't know. I have the book of the month version, so maybe I will keep it.
That's what I have.
But now I'm really curious about her YA.
Have we ever seen it in paperback? Because I haven't.
I haven't. I mean, it came out last year, so it's probably going to come out in paperback sometime this summer because why does it take a whole fucking year?
I don't understand that.
Ugh. You know our pet peeve, you guys.
I have it up on Goodreads.
We'll bring it up as much as we possibly can, but why?
Drives me nuts. Okay, so this is out of 4.20 stars on Goodreads. 48,947 ratings. 4 and 5 stars are pretty much side by side.
Wow.
Let's look at these 1 stars. Hopefully they are good. This was horrible. You've heard of miscommunication, but now introducing no. Okay.
Oh, I thought they were gonna have something a little more clever.
This one was boring, felt nothing for the characters. June was a ghost in her own skin. I never really knew her or felt for her situation.
I mean, it's hard to relate to.
No one's relating
to this. You're not
going
to be in that situation per se.
DNF couldn't finish it. So much frustration because no one would tell June what the fuck is going on.
Fair.
Dumb nonsense. Time travel was ridiculous and hard to understand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it needed more work on the time travel aspect, and she needed to set rules and like kind of someone needed to see these like plot holes and like someone asked her these questions so she could have solved them.
Yeah, people are saying like it just wasn't for me. I struggled through it. Yeah. This didn't like how like she longed to be pregnant for so long and then like she had the kid and then like she just up and left it.
And then up and left it, yeah.
Yeah. Very slow plot, disconnected characters. Yeah. 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 Well,
yeah.
I liked it. I'll keep it.
I liked it enough.
The cat's
Which
trying to
isn't that a rating review? I liked it enough.
I liked it enough. Cover's gorgeous though.
The cover is so pretty.
Yeah.
Fantasy covers, man. Always get me. And I do always appreciate a standalone fantasy.
Yeah, so you don't have
find those.
With Sarah J. Maas and all of her
oh my dear God
side quests and everything. Yeah.
God. Yeah. So hard. Why is everything like 20 book series with a fantasy?
But no, I liked it. It's definitely, yeah, if you're more of a person that like analyzes things and like needs things to be real, don't go in
ready to like critically review this book, but
yeah,
just go in for a little journey.
No, I liked it.
And a little mystery.
Yeah.
It's a little magic mystery.
'Twas good.
'Twas.
Next week though, we get into full-blown mystery.
Full mystery thrillers. Mm-hmm. It's been a little minute, I feel like.
No, watch, we like read.
We've been delving into the fantasies more.
We have.
I have no idea.
I'm proud of myself for because I'm usually not a fantasy gal. Speaking of fantasy, I saw the second book of Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies. I saw that
too, but I saw the hardcover. I think it's only hardcover, but I do appreciate that it didn't have like a book sleeve.
No, it was gorgeous.
Is on the hard cover itself, and
I
it was
almost got
gorgeous.
it.
And I debated on getting it, and I was like, should I just buy the first one in hardcover and they can match? And I was like,
I almost got it because it was just
do I?
gorgeous.
Do
It was,
I?
it was beautiful. I
I
appreciated
know, and
it
I've been
greatly.
seeing like the special editions of those books.
Yeah, they're good.
Get it. I know all those fantasy readers spend a lot of money on beautiful editions, and it's because they make some damn beautiful editions.
They really do. It's
They really do.
gorgeous.
They go hard.
Yeah. It's so amazing. Like sometimes I'll have them like the sprayed edges, but then sometimes they have them where you
Yeah.
like move them a certain way, the edges, if you like push them in or something, it'll create a scene. And oh my God, it's just,
And the
it's nuts.
inside, the prints, when you open it,
Oh,
just for
yeah.
the,
Yeah.
and they're like gold leaf and
It's crazy.
wild. Emily Wild.
Oh my God. Well, I have
think the
nothing.
third one's already supposed to come out later this year, I
Is
think.
it?
But don't quote me on that. Again, that was based on nothing.
Oh my gosh. Let me check.
Like September or something.
February of 2025.
Okay, that wasn't the worst guess.
Emily Wilde's Compendium of Lost Tales.
I wonder how far she's gonna go with it. I feel like 3 is a good number.
3 would be a good one.
A nice little trilogy.
Yeah.
Well, next week lies this week, right after this one that we had to record. The mystery, another book of the month choice. First Lie Wins by Ashley Elston. I have no idea. I haven't heard this author before, so this might be her debut. Does it say somewhere?
I can pull it up on Goodreads. I don't know. Let me see. Let's see.
Grab my book.
No, she's written other ones.
Oh, okay. Well, this is awkward. It's her first adult novel debut. She's written 6 young adult novels.
Okay.
Wow. I'm just reading a little blurb on the back.
Interesting.
She also worked for many years as a wedding photographer before turning her hand to writing.
Huh.
Interesting.
She's also a certified landscape horticulturist. Jesus. I
thought you were going to say poltergeist.
Oh. No.
And I was going to be like, where do I sign up?
It says she loves digging in dirt. That's hilarious.
Nice. Wow. Thanks for listening, you guys. You can follow us at our Instagram at Baby Got Stacks Podcast, where we have a link in our bio of where else you can find us, like our Goodreads. You can see what we have on our shelves. Many a book. I was stressed out today, so I bought books about it. So there's 3 new ones on there. Also, like and follow wherever you're listening to this podcast. I also upload the audio onto YouTube. So it's on my channel that has no other videos on it. It's called Reading with Melon. Reading with Melon. There's a lot of Mels out there, so I had to choose something.
Melon, that makes sense.
Reading with Melon.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, eventually we want to also include video of us recording these. So one day, Ashley only moved further away from me. So, making the dream.
I know. I'm trying to find a house a little bit closer, but we gotta do what we gotta do. But yeah, someday we'd like to have like in person. That would be nice.
Or we'll just like try to look nicer on our Skype.
On our Zoom. That's true. Yeah, that's true because
we could do that.
Wine and Crime do.
Yeah, they do
it like Zoom. Okay. Yeah, that's true.
We can try to do that, and you can just see whatever the fuck happens in the background. You can see Millie Girl.
Yeah, she's currently very upset that I have the door shut all the way and that she can't run in and out. I might have to do that for the next episode so she can.
Honestly, so rude of you.
I know. So rude of me for keeping her locked in the room with me. Yeah, she's upset.
Like a princess.
I know, she really is. She rules this house. For sure.
Well, thanks for listening. We will get to recording your second episode for this lovely Sunday. So
Talk to you soon.
They're back, and by they I mean my partner Taylor is vacuuming.
He's doing.
The house is a mess. I'll explain it in the second video. You can look forward to that.
Oh my gosh. Talk to you guys soon. Bye, guys.